there's, I've seen so many projects, and there's only, in reality, 2 projects from 2020, right, that I remember that are very, very solid. Of course, we got, new projects now that, they have future and stuff like that. But 2 projects is Axie and this one, it's like with solid teams, right? I can't really talk about any other ones, to be honest.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time somebody finds it. People are literally finding NFTs from 2015 and stuff like that. Like, come on now, it's only a matter of time somebody like with a lot of pool, right? Other than me and other NFT people come into Aavegotchi and just kind of pump it without without even knowing they're pumping it, right? It's like they like it, they buy it, and then people are like, "Wow, oh my god!" Right?
Yeah.
Right, guys.
I'm excited to see the games that people can build. What I really want to see, to be honest, is a 2D platformer with Aavegotchi, but like kind of well built.
You're gonna see that one of the biggest things that's gonna be promoted during this. It's only gonna last 5 days, but side views are definitely on the way. So that's gonna help get your dream.
Nice. Yeah, I would like to see like a little storyline, that we can actually enjoy and have like an end game. I know it's short, it's 5 days. I'm not sure how, we might be surprised, to be honest. There's some wild people, out there, but a little game that you can, fight bosses and stuff like that. That would be cool as hell, to be honest.
Yeah.
First of all, welcome everyone to the first Aavegotchi Game Jam. I should actually pronounce it Aave because it's Finnish for the word ghost. But yeah, thank you all for signing up, and thank you, of course, Kagi and other judges for participating in this as well. We're going to start this off with Coder Dan introducing Aavegotchi to all of you people that might not understand what it is and just seeing these little pixel ghost things and not understanding what it's all about. So, Coder Dan, take it away.
All right, guys. Welcome to our first game jam, first of many, I'm sure. And I know there's a lot of OGs in the chat here, but I'm sure there's a couple of new guys. So, briefly, can go over what is an Aavegotchi, and then we'll talk a little bit about how you can build, what tools there are out there for developers, and also a cool announcement that's at the end of it. So first of all, what is an Aavegotchi? Technically speaking, an Aavegotchi is an ERC 721 NFT. Pretty standard stuff there. That you see, ERC 721s all over the place. CryptoKitty, I think Punks probably weren't. I think they were before it, but they kind of inspired the standard. So it's a pretty familiar standard for anyone who's done any blockchain. And beyond that, Aavegotchis have a lot more utility than your average NFT, than your average profile picture NFT that everyone and their mother are flipping on OpenSea these days. One of the coolest parts about Aavegotchi is that within that ERC 721 NFT, when you summon the Aavegotchi from the Gotchi realm via the portal, one of the steps that you have to take is you have to go and get some ERC 20 interest-bearing Aave tokens, A tokens, and you get those tokens from either a DEX or you go directly to Aave, and then you stake them into the Aavegotchi, and we call that the Aavegotchi's spirit force. And that spirit force is interest bearing, so over time it's going to go up, and it actually kind of raises the floor value of the Aavegotchi over time, depending how much interest it's accruing on Aave. So that's kind of where the name, Aavegotchi comes from. That we have this direct link with Aave. We were part of their ecosystem, and then the Gotchi part obviously comes from Tamagotchi, which was like a huge craze back in the 90s. Every kid had a Tamagotchi or mini Tamagotchis, and what those basically are or were they were these hardware, kind of like gamified digital pets. It was little device that you would walk around with, and you'd interact with it. You could feed your Tamagotchi. You could play with it. You could play like mini games with it. So the Tamagotchi was, for many people, it was their first digital pet. And so what we've done at Aavegotchi is we've taken the DeFi part of Aave and this lending protocol and all the cool tech that they have, and we've matched it together with Tamagotchis and this idea of a digital pet. So there's lots of stuff you can do with your Aavegotchi. The easiest way to kind of play with it is you can actually interact with it every 12 hours. We have this thing called Kinship, and a Kinship Score kind of shows how much you, as an owner of your Aavegotchi, are taking care of it. So every time you pet your Aavegotchi, every 12 hours, the Kinship Score goes up by 1. And people have already actually, speaking of developers, we've already had several people create like petting bots or petting gotchi daycares for other people's Aavegotchis, because not everyone has the time to take care of their Aavegotchi. So you can pay a little bit of ghost, or you can stake some ghost and get your Aavegotchi like pet and groomed by other people. So that's actually already a really cool DeFi little dApp that people have made. So that's the Kinship Score and the traits. And the DeFi part. So then we have the traits. There are 6 traits, as you see in many NFT projects. Every NFT, it has like various on-chain traits that make it more rare. In Aavegotchi, we have 6 traits. We have the energy, the aggression, the spookiness, and the brain size. Those are the first 4, and those traits can be changed or modified over time when you level your Aavegotchi up. Yes, I haven't mentioned yet that Aavegotchis also have experience points. You can level them up. And so the 4 traits can be modified, and what you're kind of trying to do as the owner of the Aavegotchi is to move those traits either to the lower side, closer to 0 or the negatives, or you're trying to move it above 99. And when you do that, the farther away from the middle, if you imagine 50 as the middle, the farther away that you move it, the more rare your Aavegotchi becomes. It has this rarity score. So what you're trying to do is get those 4 traits to move in either the left or the right. You don't want to be in the middle of the curve of the traits. You want to be somewhere in the extremes. And so those are the 4 traits. And then the other 2 traits are the eye shape and the eye color. And those traits are also generated when the Aavegotchi is created, and they can't be changed. They are fixed forever. So that's kind of an interesting aspect of that. And finally, we have the experience, which is the Aavegotchi can receive XP points for example, playing mini games, which you guys are going to be developing, and they can also receive them by the owner participating in the DAO, or like in this example, by creating a mini game. I believe if you create a mini game and you get like you've made a good effort and have demonstrated that your game uses Aavegotchi, then all of your Aavegotchis will be eligible for 25 XP per Aavegotchi. And that, if you have a good stable of Aavegotchis, that can really add up to some good value for you and your Gotchi game. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what an Aavegotchi is and how can you build with it. Well, one part I haven't mentioned yet is that the Aavegotchi itself, as the NFT, the image of it, we have gone above and beyond to make that image of the Aavegotchi not just something that's stored, on an AWS server or a Google Cloud or even IPFS. We have gone above and beyond, and we've literally put the Aavegotchis as an SVG file into smart contract memory. And that's really cool because every time you equip your wearable onto your Aavegotchi, it updates. The SVG picture updates on chain. And as a developer, you can go to the Aavegotchi contracts, which Coyote has some amazing templates on how to do this. So you can go to the contracts, or you can even go to, we created a subgraph just for this purpose. You can go there and you can fetch the latest on-chain SVG of the Aavegotchi. And that's really powerful because as a minigame developer, you can easily fetch your Aavegotchi or anyone else's Aavegotchi when they're playing the game, and you can use that as your sprite within your game. So that's the Aavegotchi SVG. And one thing I do want to announce is that this has been there's something we've been working on for many months now. It's taken a lot of work, a lot of effort, and we're basically finally at the finish line just in time for this game jam. Can't promise it's going to happen like tonight, but hopefully within the next 48 hours, we are also going to be unveiling side views for a good portion of the Aavegotchi wearables that are out there. So as a developer now, you'll be able to use a new method on the smart contract. I think it's called get Aavegotchi side SVGs or something. You'll be able to get that, and it's going to return the front view of the Aavegotchi and also all the side views, the left, the right, and the up and down. So when you're creating your game, what we really hope and would love to see is you using these on-chain side view sprites in your game to make it an even cooler experience than just having like the front view of the Aavegotchi. So earlier I was talking with Gaame Jaam, who's going to be amazing YouTuber, and he's going to be one of our judges. And he was saying, he'd love to see a platformer. And side views are exactly what you need for a platformer, because you want to see the side of the Aavegotchi. So I'm really excited about side views. We're really the first NFT project, in the world to do this. There are projects that have 3D SVG, 3D NFTs, but those are not stored on chain. Those are on IPFS. You can use them, but they're not the same as what we've done. So I'm really excited about the potential of this, and we'll be using these same SVGs in the Gotchiverse that we here at Pixelcraft are working on. So I definitely encourage you. Next steps, welcome to this game jam, and I encourage you to dive into the templates and the tutorials that Coyote has made. And also, if you have any questions about the smart contracts, we have docs.aavegotchi.com, has a lot of good information. And if you can understand Solidity, or if you have any questions, you can always go to our GitHub, where we have the smart contract and we have our subgraph and everything all listed there. So again, welcome to the game jam, and let's kick it off with Coyote. And I believe we're also going to have Ivan on Tech is going to be coming on to give a keynote speech about how you can use Moralis, which is a product that they have designed, which is perfectly designed for doing these sort of games, blockchain gaming. They've created this amazing project, and I'm sure he'll come on and be giving a talk about that. So hand it over to Coyote and Ivan on Tech.
Thanks, Dan. Dan touched on it briefly, but my role essentially in Aavegotchi and Pixelcraft is I'm the evangelist. So things like hack days, tutorials, I'm one of two of them. And if you ever need help building games, me or Kanduizu is the person you'll go to, things like tutorials and advice. What the end goal for that is we aim to have like a community of developers outside Pixelcraft who are building Aavegotchi games. And with that will come like an arcade DAO, which would be its own self-governed thing in which people can choose how their games are awarded and how, as a developer, you can even earn passive income from these games. So to go a bit into that, there's going to be, the goal is we want community developers to have like a constant stream of content of like mini games. And as Dan said before, players will be able to play these games to kind of get NFT rewards and experience for their Aavegotchis, which would therefore increase their value. And as a developer, the arcade system will work so that Pixelcraft will kind of sponsor you with a bunch of NFT like rewards, or XP potions or experience, and this will be based on the popularity of your game, and then you can use these rewards to kind of reward the players. So it's kind of like your own little self-governed business in which we hand you the tools, and then you can use them as incentives for people to play their game. The more popular your game is, the more rewards you get. Obviously, and then after a while, as you can imagine, if there's popular and there's enough prizes there, you can eventually add a little pay-to-play mechanic into your game. So people pay 1 ghost or 1 or 2 ghosts, and they can play your game 100 times, and they can win X amount of NFT rewards. For that, it's going to require some sort of server security. As you can imagine, building games on the web, it's very hard, probably near impossible to kind of have it 100% hack proof. But there are measures and things we can put in place so make it happen. And if you've done it good enough, that's how you'll get listed in the arcade in order to get these rewards in which people can play to earn with. That's not necessary for this Game Jam competition. It's obviously good to have in your mind, once the game is complete, how would I be able to add some sort of server valid verification, so then I can have my own arcade game. But for this, don't worry about it, just focus on creating good gameplay. You also touched on the whole metaverse thing, and why this is exciting for me is obviously this whole arcade system is going to happen before the Aavegotchi realm is live. But when it is, I believe, I mean, Dan can correct me if I'm wrong here, but we would have our own NPC, like decentralized apps on your little land parcel. And with that, you could eventually have like arcade machines play in your very own arcade games that you've built. So as you can imagine, you're running around the world, and then all your little games, everything built around Aavegotchi can all be insulated into this one little world. And that's pretty exciting. But we can get it running before the realm's even live. So that's a little bit of information about being an architect. We're going to have a little chat about it tomorrow with other community architects, and how we're going to move the arcade DAO moving forward and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, be sure to tune in. So judging criteria for this game jam, you might be thinking, all right, it's already live. This is no secret alpha, but there are going to be weighted in certain ways in which that's not released. But I'm going to go over each one so you get a bit of an understanding of how these games are going to be judged. So me, Coder Dan, Kagi, and the other judges, Ivan, we're going to be all scoring individually, and that will come to the total to decide a top 10. And these categories are: 1 will be design. So this is going to be based on 4 subcategories. So we have the use of the Aavegotchi assets and the style. So essentially that is using the imagery off-chain, like the wearables, anything that actually matches the Aavegotchi design and appeal. That's what it's going to be based on. You've got the Aavegotchi animations. So Dan mentioned this before with the side views. You can create custom sprite sheets in order to use and move your little avatar around. These can also, because they're SVGs, you can change them to be like raise their arms, make them change their face, whatever. All this stuff is possible if you can construct a sprite sheet using the SVG straight from on-chain, which is pretty cool. And that's what you'll also be judged on. There's sound. It's probably less so. It's not going to be as much of a factor as the other ones. But just to use, we've got a few Aavegotchi sound, but obviously sound makes a game. So if you've got a good musician or just good sound assets, it's a good idea to have it. And then custom assets in general. So if you've got a really good graphic designer who's making their own Aavegotchi styled designs and they fit into the game, then that would be great as well. So creating your own little Aavegotchi characters with their own little wearables, whatever, wherever they're enemy NPCs, it's all good. Creativity. So I'm not sure if Dan touched on this, but there is a lore to the Aavegotchi world. I'm not sure, Dan, if you want to briefly explain a little summary of the world of the Gotchiverse so people have an understanding of how they can build Aavegotchi lore into their game.
Yeah, sure. So Avagachis are the spirits of liquidated yield farmers. And basically, what happens when they get liquidated, they become Aavegotchis, and we've created, or we're currently working on creating the Gotchiverse, where Aavegotchis can kind of travel between the Ether realm and to the Gotchi realm, to the Gotchiverse via their portals. So portals are a key part of the Gotchi world, and we love portals. So cool if you can like feature them in your games. There's also a the kind of the enemy of the Aavegotchis, like I said, is the liquidators, the guys who are actually out there liquidating the Aavegotchis. And if you think about DeFi, you have protocols like Aave, Cream, and I think they have liquidators. Basically, any lending protocol has these like liquidation bots. So those are the ones that kill the yield farmer, but they also at the same time create the Aavegotchi. So the Aavegotchi have this kind of like love-hate relationship with the liquidators. But the liquidators are kind of jealous of the Aavegotchis. So in the Gotchiverse, one thing that's going to be constantly happening, well, not constantly, but occasionally happening, is the liquidators are going to be invading the Gotchiverse, and they're going to be kind of competing with the Aavegotchis to gain the yield, the alchemical yield that pops up around the world. And occasionally there'll be these huge, great battles where the liquidators actually invade the Citadel, which is like the home base of the Aavegotchis in the Gotchiverse. They invade the Citadel and they try to enter the Great Portal. And when they enter the Great Portal, they plunder the yield from within it. So if your games, if you want to feature liquidators and portals, maybe Alchemica in some way, those would all be very cool elements of the universe that you could include. We've seen some really nice games that even they've picked certain areas of the Gotchi map, that we have this map that we've showed of the Gotchiverse, and they've picked certain areas of those. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to mention that because I was hoping someone's going to, any minute now, is going to post it in the chat. But yeah, Whack a Waffle, that made good use of the, what was it? Something, the little mountains in the background.
So, Laughing Peaks.
Laughing Peaks. And it was in Ruffle Reef. So if you can have like in-game areas like that in your game, that's all good to score. We like that. It's cool. So yeah, thanks for that, Dan. There's a big old Aavegotchi lore. You feel free to kind of create your own little stories or your own little characters, but there is a world that you can pull from for inspiration.
There's lots of characters too. We have all these different sets that we've really only begun exploring. The different sets that Aavegotchis have. Like someone created like the Order of the Portal Mage, or Jesse said the Raffle, the favorite pet of the Aavegotchis. We have like the Quick Swap Dragon. We have like the Gotchi Princess. So these are all characters that you can dress up and include in your games to kind of get that kind of Aavegotchi lore going on in them.
So yeah, second on the whole creativity score, we have the use of the crypto ecosystem. Now, this one was quite hard to explain because it was more so just dream fantasy of mine and probably Coda Dan's. But you can just do an arcade game and have it Aavegotchi related. But obviously we're an on-chain game, which means NFT rewards worth real value, and currency is worth real value. So you've got to think about how this will how you can take advantage of it being an NFT game versus an arcade game that just uses an NFT as the avatar. So an idea for that would be kind of like an Easter egg hunt or whatever dotted around the map, and wherever you find an item, you can keep that, and that's like a real reward. I'm not really sure how to explain that further. Dan, do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like if it's a large enough map, maybe there could be some Easter egg things hidden around there to
Yeah.
allow player to explore a little bit.
It's more so, yeah, so it's more so about, even if you want to introduce some sort of like smart contract mechanic into your game, I think this all kind of adds up to the use of the crypto ecosystem into your game. That's what I was kind of referring to. But yeah, just in-game wearables and prizes added into your game. Just think about that.
Yeah, I think it also, like, that part of that also goes back to use of the Aavegotchi and like the different traits that it has.
Yeah,
Like if
that's
you're
its
using
own
it,
separate category.
that's its
So
own
that's the
separate.
use of the Aavegotchi traits to affect gameplay. So this is another big category in itself. Obviously, each of these Aavegotchis, they're unique, they're strong in their own ways. But it's not just their traits you can use to affect gameplay, because if you think energy, that increases run speed, but you also have the lower end to the spectrum, which is just as valuable, and think about how that affects gameplay. But the NFTs also have their own collaterals built into them. So if you think about how a collateral could potentially be a different special ability, or like it's a different class, even wearables, like what does a wearable do? If you equip a certain item, do you get different powers? All this stuff exists on the Aavegotchi. So using that to your advantage is also good points. Good points there. Now, gameplay itself, that's design and creativity down. I think that's like the big ones. Gameplay is harder to kind of explain because this essentially goes down to, is it fun? So I put replayability because it sounded better than is it fun, but am I going to want to keep playing this game? There's also balance. This is probably less so of an issue, but if there's one specific gotchi that is just super overpowered in a game and that's the only one that's really worth playing with, then it's probably not that fun for the rest of the gotchi owners. But maybe you want to build it that way. Who knows? Probably I won't weight that score very highly. Strategical depth. Now, this might seem an interesting one because it seems like replayability, but when it comes to building a game which is just requires skill and repetitive actions, them games are quite easily botted on the client side. So any game that has some sort of random things that you have to react to accordingly with some sort of strategy, that makes it more and more complicated for people to make bots and play your game, and therefore it's more secure, and therefore it's better for the arcade. So strategical depth, big fan. And finally, smoothness is just essentially how good does your game run? Is it just good? Does it work? Essentially. I mean, obviously you can hide that in your demo, but I'll get to the bottom of it, don't worry. And then finally, we have the Moralis. So Ivan is more than happy if you introduce any Moralis feature into your game, then you are in for a chance of winning the big dog prizes, which is about 5,000 extra. You might as well just put Moralis in your game, is what I'm trying to say. It's worth it. Double the prizes. So that's how you're going to be scored. Now, submission is going to be quite simple. So, like between now and like 11 a.m., all you have to do is we're going to have to record a 2-minute demo of the game and submit it before 11 a.m. on Sunday. And that could just be any format you like, essentially. If it's just highlighting specific game features or just a quick, like the key feature of your game, whatever. It could be you explaining it, just however best portrays it to the judge. I'm also going to need access to your GitHub to make sure there's no naughty shenanigans happening behind the scenes. So you can send me the GitHub link anytime between now and the submission deadline. And you can also deploy your game. It'll help us get a better idea of how it runs, and you might get scored better. It's not 100% necessary, but if you can, it's worth doing. Yeah, so as we said, judges will then decide on the top 10 submissions, and out of them, when it gets to the end ceremony, we'll present your demo, and then you will undergo some Q&A. And from that, we'll then be able to figure out the top 3 for each Moralis and the general prize. And that's essentially it. If you have any issues or any problems, or you need help or any clarity on something, you can ping me or Andoizu. We have our little opening hours, so feel free to ask questions. But a lot of the Moralis questions, it's probably worth waiting around for Ivan to do his little keynote, and there'll be a Q&A to ask any questions related to Moralis. Now, Ivan was here, and this would have been his cue to jump in, but he's disappeared. So you entertain the guests, Coda Dan.
He's saying he's here. So
Where is he? Oh, yeah, he's there. I've invited you to speak, Ivan.
Me?
Oh, there you are.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for the invite, guys. And yeah, great to be supporting this hackathon. When it comes to Moralis, in this short speech, I will discuss a bit how it can be used in order to create a game. The whole idea with Moralis is to give the developers, to you guys, a backend that is already pre-configured with all the crypto things that you need. For example, when the user logs in using Moralis, you instantly get all of their transactions on all different chains and new transactions in real time. All of that is synced automatically to your database. I mean, that's one of the most important things that all dApps have to do, to log in the user and see what the user is doing on chain, like all the assets, all the tokens, all the NFTs, everything. But Moralis is just one line of code, just to log in the user with Metamask, and Moralis syncs everything about the user on all chains. So that's when it comes to the user management, which is key to all dApps. When it comes to smart contract events, Moralis is also very useful if you are to build something where you have to watch what happens on chain in terms of smart contract. You can set up a listener so that when a smart contract event fires, let's say on Matic or ETH or Binance chain, you instantly get an alert, and you also get entry in your Moralis database with all the info about that event. So this is useful in case you do your own smart contract, or in case you have to watch some existing smart contracts and monitor on-chain activity. So this is when it comes to smart contracts. And when it comes to the game, and when it comes to real-time communication, Moralis is also pre-configured from the start to have sockets, to have already, with one line of code, you can send the information in real time between different clients, which is of course important if you're building some kind of real-time experience. People log in with their MetaMask, you can see their NFTs, and then you can also move them around on a map. That's very easy with Moralis. And I've recorded a few videos on Moralis YouTube channel how that could be done. So that's a very key aspect as well, because when it comes to such a hackathon, which we have here, is just a few days. So the last thing you want to do is to set up your infrastructure, real-time communication. You just want to focus on the game, what will actually be judged. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. We have all of the docs on docs.moralis.io. And if it would be possible to share screen here, I could share exactly how everything works. But in the docs, you can see everything. And also we have Moralis YouTube channel where we have long tutorials if you're interested in going in depth and step-by-step creating a game with us, with Moralis. We have such a walkthrough on our YouTube channel. So to summarize, the most important thing is that Moralis really takes care of the backend, because without Moralis, I mean, the way people build the dApps before Moralis is that you have an RPC node, and then you build your whole infrastructure around that RPC node. But using the RPC node, it's very bad because it can't do anything, your RPC node. You need to index it, you need to build your own database around it, you need to build your own API around it. You have to build this whole infrastructure, you have to manage users yourself. When somebody logs into your app, for example, if you don't use Moralis, how do you know that it's them? You need to have a signature. They need to sign a message. This is standard for all dApps. And without using Moralis, all developers have to reinvent the wheel all the time. How to log in user, how to fetch transactions, how to sync everything. And so what we're seeing right now is this move from building dApps around RPC nodes to using a solution like, for example, Moralis, where you don't have to do it yourself. Otherwise, you have to maintain yourself, provision database yourself, and so on and so forth. And of course, the good thing long-term with using Moralis is that when you want to go cross-chain, let's say you build your game now on Matic, as Aavegotchi is mainly on Matic, but then Solana explodes. Solana becomes big. How do you take your game to Solana? Without using Moralis, you have to start from scratch, basically. With Moralis, a lot of things can be reused because it can be seen as a middleware on top of all blockchains. It's a middleware that really gives you a unified interface, unified API to work across different blockchains, even across different architectures like EVM, Solana, non-EVM. We are entering a cross-chain reality. And the problem that many dApps will have is that they will have to start from scratch if they want to go to non-EVM systems. But with Moralis, you don't have to start from scratch because even on Solana, you need the same things. You need to log in user, fetch their balances, fetch their transaction. I mean, it's the same things. So why not build a unified interface on top of different chains? That's a big element of Moralis when you're thinking long-term. It's not that relevant to the small hackathon that we have right now, which is just a few days. But when building more long-term, big serious projects that need to ensure that they are relevant even when new blockchains come, then it's also an important thing to keep in mind. So yeah, on a big picture, let me just summarize what we discussed, what I just said. So number one is the user management. User logs in, you fetch all their balances, transactions from all chains. Number two, you can sync and get smart contract events straight into your database. And when you get both user information and the smart contract information into the database, it means that you can now run queries. When you just use RPC node, you cannot run any query. You cannot get your most active users, or you cannot get your most top leaderboards. You cannot get that with just an RPC node. But with Moralis, you can, because we index all of the blockchain activity that your users do, and you can run any query. And we have real-time communication for gaming. We explain all of that on YouTube, but it's very simple. One line of code to get sockets going. And finally, cross-chain if you're thinking long term. And yeah, guys, if you have any questions, happy to take them now also.
Awesome. That's super cool that you can do it cross-chain. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
Which ones do you support right now?
So right now we have Polygon, Binance, and Ethereum. We're adding Avalanche in the coming weeks. And then our big project now is integrating Solana, because it's the first one we integrate that is non-EVM. And this one is going to be very useful because if you have already built your front end for, let's say, Matic or Polygon or Ethereum, it's mostly going to be the same front end for Solana, because it's the same things you need. You need to get transactions, NFTs, balances, and so on and so forth. So a lot of things can be unified in the same API. So that's our goal.
Candoizo says people are sleeping on the Moralis RPCs. So you guys also offer archive nodes is it for free?
Yeah, so we do have RPC service as well. So we have archive node for Polygon free, Binance node free, and the free tier is 3.6 thousand requests per minute, which is, it's massive because many paid tiers are many other providers have that as paid tier. But our big thing is the server, because we make it very easy to work with the server, because that's where we make this magic happen, where everything is one line of code, everything is synced automatically. But yes, we do offer nodes also for projects that just need the node access, because it's also a big problem. For example, finding good Binance Chain nodes, basically impossible. Yeah. The same with Polygon, although Polygon is getting more and more adopted. So we do have a Binance Chain, Polygon, Avalanche, Arbitrum in our nodes, and we're gonna integrate more and more. So Solana would be very soon for us as well.
Amazing.
have
All right.
some-
Oh, if anyone has any questions, I guess Coyote, are we in Q&A part yet, or what else is there to go over?
Yeah, I see Scranley, Rick Jones. Let's see. There you go. Yeah.
Hello, this is S. Granley. I was wondering if Moralis has some type of matchmaking built in.
No, we don't have it built in, but with the database, it should be a simple solution. I could record a video on that, how to do matchmaking. Yeah.
I like
you.
the sound of matchmaking. That's going to be fun.
No, but it's also one of these things that all games need, all online games that have some kind of match need. So it's we will probably do a tutorial on how to do it, and probably also a good idea to do some kind of built-in plugin to do it as well. But no, right now we don't have anything that is pre-configured for matchmaking. But with a simple database, you can achieve that pretty quickly.
Okay, so my question seems like a dumb question, but I think you can use Moralis to do a leaderboard ranking, maybe.
Yeah, of course, for sure. Leaderboard ranking, real-time communication, anything where you need a database, you can use Moralis. Anywhere where you need on-chain data, for example, if you want to see what your users have done in the past on-chain, you can use Moralis. Let's say what Dan and the team discussed about building a map where people can pick up real assets. That can also Moralis be used for. That you have a smart contract or something where someone picks up an asset and you can generate a transaction. That's also something that Moralis can do. So yeah, database on chain, real time, that can be used.
That's really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So what's left is like the matchmaking, so we can like create a room and then we can group up like 4 players and then they can like fight each other out, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's possible. I will have to do a tutorial on how to do that because we don't have anything pre-configured. But in Moralis database, to set up some kind of matchmaking should be very simple. As if you want to build a multiplayer game with different teams, it's and then matchmake them and have them do a game, only those 2 teams, it should not be difficult. I will do a tutorial on how to do that.
Oh yeah, thank you very much.
You sleep, man? I don't think you sleep. You're a machine.
Well, that's crypto. It's
Yeah.
always a lot of things, but it's also fun. It's not like work. We
Yeah.
never work. It's like a game. Crypto is in itself
Getting
like
paid to play. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh no,
That's actually true. The whole crypto is paid to
always
play.
work. I live
Yeah.
in a place which always work.
You're gonna
Alright.
make it, Rick Jones. You're gonna become a full-time gotcha game developer. I can feel it.
Oh, I don't know. Space was too tiring. Okay, stop
But
complaining.
I like the idea of making NFT games because you can use a lot of the community, like we have right here with Aavegotchi, and the assets and the art and the whole storyline, and then it can become very big on its own. It's like World of Warcraft was it World of Warcraft? Yeah, but Warcraft, not World of Warcraft, but how Dota became big. It was a plugin first, like a mini game to Warcraft. And then it became big on its own. So it's
that
so
was
much
cool to watch
opportunity.
that happen.
Yeah,
That's so crazy. Like that Dota was. I mean, I played Dota in Warcraft 3. It was super cool. And then wow, out of Warcraft, it's emerged this entirely new game. So
exactly.
crazy.
Exactly.
So like
Speaking of
Dan,
Dota, win Avagachi Dota with wearables.
yeah, so like Dan, are you prepared that some of the mini games may sometime like overtake the main game of Avagachi?
It's a dream. Do it.
Yeah. Hey, it totally could happen. Yeah,
Yeah, but
Warcraft.
Yeah,
I still love that game.
but it's a good idea to piggyback on different communities. That's also how Aavegotchi also started with the Aave community. And
Yep.
My understanding is that Aavegotchi got a lot of support from Aave team as well, and they're retweeting and they are spreading the word, especially in the beginning. So it's a very good approach.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, the crypto community it's awesome. Especially Ethereum community. Everyone is just wants to work together and build money Legos and like piggyback on each other. It's a great space to be in. What is the game that started as a library? I don't know. He said Ivan mentioned it recently.
Sorry, which one?
God of Steak here says, "What is the game that started as a library?" Not sure.
Not sure. Is that a question to me, you say?
I think so.
Yeah, not too sure.
Gazebo coming in with the ideas. Seriously, like a mini, like a small version of Dota, even if it was just like 2v2 with liquidators and like protecting the portal, that would be would just be I'd be playing that every day for sure. If you can do like a multiplayer game with Moralis or something, oh my god.
Yeah,
Giving
for
all the
sure.
winning ideas.
Yeah,
And also-
and also in my opinion that like multiplayer games will be like will not be much more susceptible to bots actually, isn't it? So like will be everybody because it's playing at different styles like that. It's become like very difficult to predict what kind of game styles they're playing. You see, it's like it's very difficult to have a bot to play Smash Bros, right? And also win.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
remember someone trained bots to play Dota.
Yeah.
But they trained it on like thousands, hundreds of thousands of hours of gameplay. It would take them a while, I think.
Yeah, I think the learning curve will be pretty tough.
Ivan, I believe Hotspur asked a question earlier. I know he's just doing it to get a job, but he's asking about Unity SDK. Do you know how
Yeah.
easy it would be just to hook up?
It is easy. So we don't
Okay.
have a Unity SDK, and it will not work if you want to create a mobile game or some Windows native game or some native games, but web games you can do. And I also posted a link to a game that is done in Unity with Moralis, and we are working on a guide right now how to do it. But Unity has a very nice interface to JavaScript. When you export as WebGL for the web, it works and it's not difficult. And hopefully soon we can have a guide how to do it. But I linked also a video where we have a demo of a game that also uses Unity. So yeah, Unity is possible to use. And when it comes to native SDK in C# for Unity, that's one of our next projects to have it native as well. So yeah, when we have that, then it's possible to build mobile games and any platform that Unity supports, we also support them. But right now it's web only. Yeah.
Yeah, once Moralis has plugins, I can build an iPhone game for Aavegotchi. That's when I know I've made it.
Exactly.
What's like the business model for Moralis? Because everything you're providing currently is pretty cheap, but I imagine it's a lot of infrastructure to keep going.
Yeah, we wanted to go to market as soon as possible, so we did it even without having like an infrastructure for payments. But soon in I think this month in September, we're very close to that. We will introduce paid plans. We will always have a massive free plan because at the end of the day, we want to go global. I mean, this is infrastructure for the crypto world, so it cannot be expensive. It needs to be available. And as always with these infrastructure projects, we will have maybe 5% of users having massive dApps, which will account for most of the revenue. And for most people, the goal is that it should be almost free. I mean, if you're experimenting, if you have a few 100,000 users, it should be free. So that's the model, and the model is pay. It's like Firebase or AWS. It's pay as you go, but because we started last year and our production ready version was done in June, we simply didn't have time to even put in any like payment stuff. But we're doing that now. So soon it's yeah, so soon we're gonna have also enterprise plans and
Awesome.
support. A big part is gonna be the support, because when you look at big projects, they want to have support. They don't want just a free product. They rather have a paid product where they know there's gonna be support, there's gonna be SLAs, and so on and so forth. So that's coming. And it's always with software that from the beginning it's important to go to market quickly, so we can speak to devs, we can do hackathons like this, we can see what people use, what people like, and then we adopt after that. And for us, the payment modules, we can do it later, but now we're close to getting that done also.
Awesome. Yeah, it seems like a very robust system to build out the next big crypto game. Very cool.
For sure. And I like the analogy that we use sometimes, that in order to build complex things, you have to have tools for that. So in order for crypto to go mainstream, we need to have better tools. Because right now, everyone is, like I discussed previously, everyone is building around their PC node. You connect to our PC node, and then you build your database and everything around it. And this means that we mostly now in the crypto community, we use low-level tools. I mean, we speak to RPC node. Developers should not speak to RPC node because it's very low level. It's like building a website, speaking to CPU and RAM and managing RAM and CPU when you just want to build a website. It should be way higher in the stack. So that's also what we're seeing with this wave of new protocols and platforms like Moralis, that we move up in the stack. Our PC nodes are good, but developers hopefully should never touch them in the near future, because it's low-level tech that is not very flexible. You cannot do a lot of things with RPC node. It's not a database. It cannot handle connections. Like it's not meant even to be like this, service where people can connect. Instead, it should be deep down in the stack.
I guess we got to blame MetaMask for that, huh? But
for RPC.
For just when we connect to well, I guess I don't know if it's MetaMask, but when a user connects to the site, we need to use an RPC.
Well, you don't.
So maybe that.
Yeah, but for example, with Moralis, we still use RPC on the backend, but for developers, it shouldn't be necessary. Instead, if developers use something like Moralis, where everything is automatically synced and you just use simple JavaScript to query on-chain data from Moralis database because it's already indexed and you can actually do things with it. You can query it, filter, aggregate, things you never can do with RPC node.
For signing transactions, though, you'll still need an RPC unless you're using like meta transactions, I guess.
Exactly.
Which you guys plan to support those? That would be pretty neat.
Yeah, that would be cool. It's not currently on the roadmap, but it's something we think about if we should add. But of course, for signing, you still need a wallet. But you ask the wallet just to sign. It's not that you have to connect to RPC. Like, for example, when you use Metamask, you use a Web3 provider from Metamask and just ask Metamask to sign, and that's it. But when I say using RPC node, I mostly mean that developers try to build their whole app around it. Like getting the user interactions from the RPC node, getting the top leaderboards from the RPC node. I mean, all of these things that are not.
Oh my God,
yeah, it's very as you probably know, building the Aavegotchi project.
Yeah, we use the subgraph, the graph, which also relies on RPCs, but it's kind of like a middleware as well.
Yeah, right. So that's a bit higher up in the stack, exactly. So that's that, and we're also seeing that the graph becomes huge, and that's a big improvement, of course. And Moralis, I would say it's like even one layer on top of the graph, where you don't have to set up anything. You just log in user, everything is already done. You use simple JavaScript to watch new events, and we basically do the things that the graph does, and we may even integrate the graph in the future when they become more decentralized. But yeah, Moralis would be like a layer on top of that. But the graph, of course, it improved the lives of developers 100x. Because before that, you really had to index everything yourself, and yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for the talk about Moralis, and I look forward to seeing lots of projects using it. If you guys are, as you're developing, if you can find the time, it's pretty short, but it'd be even just like maybe using Moralis for a user login to see how many Aavegotchis they have in their wallet, things like that would be really cool. Might even help you speed up your development instead of having to like use the Web3 provider and things like that. Just put in
Yeah.
Moralis and it'll find it for you.
And also, we have the tutorials in the tutorial channel that you guys have linked, where we go step by step how to create a game, how to log in user, how to do real-time communication, stuff like that. So that's it's in tutorials, right? Trying to find it in the Aavegotchi Gaame Jaam.
All right. Well, Coyote, I guess give it back to you. Any
Yeah.
final words before we kick this off?
Well, we got I think that basically summarized the Moralis keynote, essentially, unless you have more to explain about that later, but I'm sure that's all good. If anyone has any questions still, feel free to post them in the chat. We'll be around to answer it. What's coming up for the rest of the week? Tomorrow, and the day after and the day after, me and Kandawizu will have open office hours. I'm based in Europe. Kandawizu is based in Canada, so our time zones match up pretty well. So we're going to be around the clock, but those times will be dedicated for you to message us with any questions because we have got other responsibilities. Otherwise, Coder Dan will whip us with his harsh whip. Yeah,
I
exactly.
got the lasso actually around you up.
So tomorrow we have our architect fireside chat. That'll just give everyone a little time to chill out, have a cup of tea after all that hard work you're doing. All the architects will gather around. We'll talk DAO things. We'll talk dev. All that stuff that you want to talk to your girlfriends about, but they don't care. That's the sort of stuff we'll be talking about. It's going to be a dream. Day 3 hasn't been announced yet, but day 4 in the main Aavegotchi Discord, we have our good old friend No Futuristic, and he does a Aavegotchi hangout, kind of more like a podcast format where we get to talk Aavegotchi, all the stuff that you want to talk to your girlfriends about, but they don't care. So more of that. And then day 5, that's the final day on the Sunday, 11 a.m. Make sure you've sent me all the submission details to go over. That's a URL to the demo. This could be a private link on YouTube, or it could be a little Dropbox, whatever, just so me and the judges can have access to watch it, and as well as the URL to your GitHub. You can send me that at any time. So that's necessary for 11 a.m. Then in between then and 2 p.m. UTC, when with the end ceremony, the judges we would have collated who the top 10 are, and that's when we'll go demo each of these top 10 and do a Q&A before announcing the final winner, which is obviously we have a total of $5,000 worth of prizes in the general. That's just building a game without Moralis, and $5,000 worth of prizes for Moralis, just including just adding a Moralis feature. And you can technically win both. So you could become first in general and Moralis. So in summary, you should build with Moralis. All Aavegotchis as well. Once you've submitted a game and it's good and it fits all the rules and the criteria, there will be a snapshot taken at approximately the deadline, and all the Aavegotchis of your team members will get 25 experience points. Believe that is all in terms of what you'll need, and I believe the time is you can start building. So build away. I'm sure you're already building away, but build away more. That's all I say. Is there anything I missed?
Has Kegi spoken? I see Kegi here.
Yeah, you spoke earlier.
Ah, nice.
Oh yeah, if you're still here, Kegi, what would you like to see in the game? You were kind of talking about it before. What would you love to see?
The chickens.
the
There you
chickens.
go. Yeah, Kegi loves the chickens. The chicken race.
Yeah, so I also remember that Keigi wants to see some platformers, I think.
hmm Yeah, a platformer with the side views. We're gonna try to get those out. I can't promise they'll be out like by tomorrow, but we are. And I also can't promise they're going to be 100% bug free, because we are, the contracts are ready and the upgrade is ready, but we still haven't done a full final review. But it's actually great that you guys, as you're looking through it, maybe if you see any issues, just ping us, and we'll be able to get those finalized. So this is kind of a nice community review of all the side views. There's a lot of them. There's like literally thousands of files being uploaded. So we've Cbot has been slaving away making these side views, and then our Solidity developer Watson has been just going through testing multiple things and getting everything perfect. So I'm very excited to launch that. And for now, I'll just use the front views, but we should have an update pretty soon about the side views being ready to use.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, 'cause that was what I
that's
was
cool.
also kind of meant to end that with. But yeah, once the side views are live, I'll be sure to let you all know. I'll add it into the template, but by this point, I'm sure you've already started off with the templates, which reminds me, there are templates. So if you want to just build straight away and not worry about the Web3 connections, we've got some Aavegotchi mini game template, and we have an Aavegotchi Moralis template, both of which handle the fetching of the Aavegotchis and the converting into a sprite sheet straight into Phaser. It's only with Phaser, but even if you're using Unity, there are some lovely gems in that code base on how to kind of fetch the SVGs, kind of create these animations, and like turn them into like PNGs or whatever you need. So that's a good starting point, and that's where I'll be also adding the side views. But
So people can just they can just fork the repo, and then once you've updated it, they can just pull from it.
Yep, that seems like the smart thing to do. If you're good at Git, that's what you do. There you go, Rick Jones. I've been meaning to tell you that for a while.
Yeah, and also I have one more question. So if I want to like have someone play test my game, so I can like freely let the Avagachi community members like freely play the game, just like publish the game hours like that.
That's allowed. Yeah, by all means, like do what you would do if you was making a game and you want it to be the best, and that obviously involves testing. So yeah, by all means, get everyone to test your game.
Oh, that's really good. Thank you, Cody.
No worries, mate. Is there any other questions before we kick off? No? Yeah, so in the devs chat, there are documents on making the SVGs. If you want to message me privately or want more details on that, I can show you exactly how to go about fetching the Aavegotchis and converting it into a sprite sheet. But let the games. I'm not gonna. So Cat Coyote and Can Do Easy are the evangelists in Gotchi. So there you go, mate. I said it. And we can all stop laughing at the English boy. There we go. Nice one. Cheers, guys. You can code now.
Perfect.
There we go.
Thanks, guys.
Let the game begin.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks,
Ivan.
everyone.
Perfect, guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.